Welcome to Fireside Chat with Mrs. Nelson. Today we're going to learn how to draw reflective ornaments, much like this one. First thing you're going to do is you're going to start with the general shapes of the object itself. Much like we did with the egg, you're going to start with the round, then you're going to go through and get rid of the lines that you don't need to keep the ones that you want. After that, begin to work with the contour lines that are being reflected in the object. Use those sighting and directional line techniques that we learned at the beginning of the unit to help you get your lines on track. Dig deeper and find the contour lines that are created by the shadows that are reflected as well. You're making a roadmap for your values, so the more information you get now, the easier it's going to be later when you're going to actually shade in your project. Next up are the shapes for your cast shadow. Find all the double lines and where those shades cross over one another to find the exact values that you're going to need to shade in. It's time to work on the value. I started with a 2H pencil and worked on finding the lightest values first. Especially make sure you go around your highlights. Remember, your highlights are the whites of the page, so they're going to be your brightest spots on your drawing. After the 2H, I grabbed my HB pencil and began to build up some darker values. While you're working on your shades, remember, don't have any horizontal or vertical lines. You're working with a round object. On a round object, you're not going to find vertical lines going straight up and down and horizontal lines going side to side. You're going to find gentle curves going around each direction. That will give you more information and make your object look round in the end. As you build up the darker values, don't forget to go back in with an eraser of your choice and pull those light spots back out. It helps to just rework an area a few times before you're satisfied. As I'm building into the darker areas of my ornament, I'm using my 2B pencil. I'm saving my 4B pencil for when I get into the shadows and the cast shadows because the darkest spot is going to be where the ornament and the table meet. Remember that from when we did the egg. Remember, you want to work in a small section at a time and keep looking for those details. I'm moving on to the lower portion of my ornament now. I'm going to go back to my HB pencil. You can switch your pencils back and forth as much as you need to as you're working those small sections. After I do my HB, I'll go in with a little bit of a 2B to pick up some of those darker areas. Before we go into our cast shadow, I want to have you stop and look at your drawing and go back in with your eraser and your pencil and pull out some of those details. There's going to be areas that you missed, and that's okay. You can always go back in and correct them, change up your lines a little bit before you move on to your cast shadow. It's time for our cast shadow now. For my lightest spots, I'm going to go back to using my 2H pencil. We need to find all of the areas where our lines cross over and every single value that's happening. 2H's are going to help pull out the lightest values that are going on in our cast shadow. I'm still working with my 2H, getting that second step value on my cast shadow. Right behind where I use my 2H pencil, now I'm going to go in with my HB pencil to get that second section that's happening behind there. It's time to step up your shading game and go on to a 2B pencil. We've got more areas where the shadows are getting darker now, and that's going to help us build it up without doing too much work. For the final shadow, I'm using a mixture of my 2B and my 4B pencil because remember again exactly where your ornament is going to touch the ground or your table. It's going to be the darkest spot, so I'm going to really want to work in that shadow. Your Christmas ornament is all done now, and you have your cast shadow in there. But to really make it pop, we need to put in the background. I went ahead and shaded in just a little bit so you can see how it comes off the page and makes that ornament look rounder in the end. Take a moment and step back from your drawing, or prop it up and see if you eye any problem spots. I found one on my right side that I wanted to go ahead and rework just to get that line to curve a little more and not read so horizontally. Soon your work is going to be on display. Happy arting, everyone, and I'll see you at our next fireside chat.